Hey everybody, this is Wilbits. Part 2 of the beginning trial because we gotta figure out what's going on with these cards. What's going on with these cards?
Court will now reconvene. Has our witness, Miss Olga ORLY, recovered?
Yes, Your Honor. Well, she's regained consciousness.
Perhaps we can hear her version of the events again.
That's the thing. You see, she's quite fatigued.
You're looking a bit fatigued yourself, Mr. Payne. You'll be looking even more fatigued when I'm done with you. I'm a mad judge.
Sadly, fatigue is insufficient grounds for refusing to testify or prosecute. The defense would like to request that Miss ORLY take the stand.
Very well. The witness will take the stand.
Perhaps you could repeat your name and profession. Or perhaps you'd rather admit that you're a poor liar and a poorer loser.
Not.
What?
Name's Olga ORLY. That's the truth. I'm a pro dealer. People call me Olga Quick Fingers ORLY.
Oh, really? Oh, really? Oh, really?
Want to know something else? I'm not really Russian, and my last name sounds like, oh, really? That's the truth. I hope you're satisfied.
Witness, you will tell the court what you were really up to that night.
Fine, I'll talk. We had a plan, see?
Let me remind you that you are currently under oath. Any further fabrications will have serious consequences.
Fine. Like I said, I'm a pro. That guy, Smith, hired me to do what I do best. I was planted at the Borscht Bowl Club several days prior to the night of the game as a waitress.
So you were in cahoots with the victim?
Not that he needed my help. Smith is a well-known poker player in some circles. But winning wasn't the main purpose of this game. It was about destroying a legend, the unbeatable Phoenix Wright. The plan was simple, elegant really, you see. We set up a trap of sorts. I was to plant a card in Wright's pocket beforehand, and then deal 5 aces during one of their games. When their hands were revealed, Smith would call him out and search Wright. He would then pull out the planted card, and the trap would snap shut, revealing him as a cheater.
You swapped the cards!
Exposed as a cheater and losing on top of it. He would have made a great double play. Just like that, the legend would be dashed to pieces.
Indeed. Getting caught red-handed and cheating would cast doubt on all his prior wins.
A 7-year legend destroyed by one little card. That was the plan.
Okay.
Oh,
really? Oh, really? How droll. But it appears you made quite the mistake.
A mistake?
I agree, the trap was elegant. Yet, what happened to that planted card? Hey, that's right!
He's lucky. I'll give him that. You'd have to be to slip free from a trap laid by Olga Quick Fingers ORLY.
Oh, really? I keep falling right into that. The witness would be much cuter if she dispensed with the evil mastermind shtick.
Cute? Who wants to be cute? I'm not cute. I'm bad. You hear me? Bad.
When you're through being bad, perhaps you could testify to the court. Tell us about this trap and how it was sprung.
All right, witness testimony, let's go.
That night I planted the card like I was supposed to, and Wright lost the last hand, just like he was supposed to. Then Smith searched him. But the planted card was gone. The trap failed. The next moment, Wright picked up a bottle and swung it. It wasn't me who hit Smith. It was that no-good, cheating defendant.
A surprisingly frank testimony that still leaves us mostly in the dark.
The trap was perfect, I tell you, perfect, if that rotten cheater hadn't messed it up. Look who's talking.
Well, the testimony, for what it's worth, is all yours, Mr. Justice.
With witnesses like her, who needs criminals? And with defendants like Mr. Wright, who needs prosecutors? Or defendants. Might as well just leave, let him defend himself. Too bad he doesn't have a badge anymore, because of something he did 7 years ago.
That night I played the card like I was supposed to.
Suspicious. This planted card. Which card was it exactly?
The trump card. The 5 of hearts.
Let me guess. Mr. Wright was to have switched the 5 with the ace to make a full house. At least, that's what you're going to accuse him of doing, thereby ruining his legend.
I slid it into Wright's pocket.
When was this?
Why, before the match, of course, while he was eating. At the Borscht Bowl Club, we have served borscht and suckers.
Remind me never to go there. I don't like suckers. They're too sweet. Especially with borscht. That's weird.
Of course, the card was to make its grand debut during the game. Like a good borscht, a good plot must be cooked up early and allowed to thicken. And Wright lost the last hand, just like he was supposed to. Then Smith searched him.
So, everything went according to plan.
Exactly. The 5th ace came up, so it's obvious the switch went off without a hitch. Once the extra card was found in his pocket, Wright would be forever known as a cheat and a fraud.
There are worse things to be known as, I suppose. They could call you Baldy Judge, around all the other judges, and make you cry.
Tell us what happened with the search, please.
But the planted card was gone. The trap failed.
That card disappeared?
Yeah, my trump card, the 5 of hearts. Gone, without a trace. Poof! Zippo! We searched every nook and cranny, even inside his cute little hat.
But the card was nowhere to be found, is this correct?
Never in my long, storied career, never has Quick Fingers ORLY been so readily duped.
Oh, really? I keep walking into that. What happened to that 5 of hearts?
Don't look at me. Why don't you ask that cheating, lying, two-faced defendant?
So the 5 of hearts is still missing in action.
The next moment, Wright picked up a bottle and swung it.
Why? Why? Why would he do that? Why would he do that thing? Wait, isn't that a little odd?
What's odd? You're odd. Your face is odd. You're dumb.
You searched Mr. Wright, thoroughly, and found nothing? Which means he didn't cheat, which means he had no reason to strike the victim.
Well...
Oh! Why'd everything go all negative? What was that just now? I sensed something.
Something wrong, Mr. Justice?
No, nothing, Your Honor. What do I do? Should I press her a little harder? Miss ORLY, you're hiding something!
What are you talking about? You person! You person, you! Me! Quick Fingers ORLY, hide something! The defense will refrain from baseless accusations!
I have one question for the witness, then. You say you saw the moment the defendant hit the victim. Is this true?
Of course it's true. I did see it, honest. I saw it when Wright hit him. With my own eyes, I saw it.
What's this weird vibe I'm getting? Like kind of a weird thing, like a thing that's happening. That witness, for instance, Miss ORLY. Oh, Miss O'Reilly. She would touch the back of her neck during certain parts of her testimony. Did you notice? Touching her neck, was it? Whoa. What's going on? This sensation. My eyes. It's coming into focus. There. That twitch. It's streaming so clearly. It's like I could perceive her habit, like I couldn't before. Miss Orly, perhaps you're unaware of this yourself.
Unaware of what?
Whenever you get to a certain part of your testimony, you touch the back of your neck with your left hand.
My neck? So what?
What indeed, Justice? I hadn't noticed anything of the sort. When she says that part of the testimony, she's subconsciously recalling something. Her body reacts to the memory, and she touches her neck. I'm sure of it!
A memory? Would someone care to explain what he's babbling about?
This is highly unusual. But let's ask the defense. You claim the witness is remembering something. Maybe you have evidence of this memory to show us.
Her habit is scratching her neck whenever she talks about the moment of the crime. So what would remind her most of the moment of the crime? Miss O'Reilly, whenever you recall that crime that night, you scratch your neck. I've noticed it happens when you think about the moment of the crime. There must be some reason behind this habit of yours. I believe the weapon that left an inerasable impression on your neck is this. The bottle? Let's try the bottle. Whenever she talks about the moment of the crime, she touches her neck. And what reminds us more of that moment than this bottle? The murder weapon. Oh, grabbing a neck of the bottle like that. But something doesn't fit. If you were only the witness to the crime, why would that make you touch your neck like you're in pain?
Well, what's he talking about now? She's not in me.
Crazy. Pain. Wrong kind of pain. It was Mrs. Smith, the victim, who was hit, not you. Or was she in disguise?
This is a cross-examination, not a wild conjecture.
The witness's habits,
They're completely irrelevant.
Justice, I'll admit, I'm a bit confused myself. This is certainly a unique cross-examination. I'll explain later. Just trust me. Now's our only chance to break her. Miss Orly, Miss O'Reilly, please testify in detail about the moment of the crime. The very moment.
Yet, I am knowing nothing.
You changed your costume back? That's not gonna work. We know you're somebody else now. We know you're not Russian.
The witness will testify. Please. Now.
Bah, fine. He's the one who did it. I didn't let him out of my sight until the cops got there.
Press. You seem uneasy.
You try sitting up here.
Her eyes are darting all over the place. I must be getting warm. Tell me, after the crime, what was the defendant like?
Well, he must have been stunned by the weight of his crime. He sat in a daze at that table until the cops came.
Intriguing. I believe you've gotten all the testimony you're going to get out of this witness. So, what do you think about her testimony? I'll tell you what I think. Her testimony is flawed. It's basically bogus. It contradicts the evidence.
What's that?
Well, show us this evidence, Mr. Justice. This evidence that you claim contradicts the testimony.
She didn't let him out of her sight until the cops got there. I know there's some evidence that contradicts that because he had to leave to use his phone. Used by the defendant to notify the police from the restaurant's first floor. So he had to have left at some point. Miss O'Reilly, we have a record here that clearly contradicts what you said. It states that the police were alerted by a report from the defendant. And we know that the defendant left the room, climbed the stairs, and made that phone call from the first floor of the Borscht Bowl Club. So explain how you kept your eyes on the defendant when he left the room entirely. Eek! She took pictures of herself and lost all of her borscht.
The man who picked up a bottle and swung it that night wasn't the defendant.
Crazy lamp swinging. You'd think their hats would be in greater detail here, because they had very distinctly different ones. Showdown time. You dirty cheat! Check his pockets now!
It's gone! The card's gone!
You lose.
Ah! Just then, Smith grabbed the bottle from next to Wright, and he hit me. You! Some master of cheating you turned out to be! Eek! When I came to, the victim was already dead.
The victim was already dead, is that it?
That's why I couldn't reveal who I really was. If it came out that I was in league with Smith, I'd be a suspect for sure.
Well, where does this leave us?
Madness. This is madness. I'm dreaming. It must have been me who is it with a bottle, and I'm imagining all of this.
It appears our prosecution is at his wit's end, and frankly, I can't blame him. Mr. Gavin, what do you think about this turn of events?
Mr. Gavin, sir? I believe that, as the defense in this case, we are compelled to call Miss O'Reilly a big fat liar.
What?
3 were in that room the night of the murder. The defendant, victim, and her. And she has a motive. A motive? Her plot foiled. The witness got into an argument with her client, Mr. Smith. And the denouement of that argument was murder.
What? I didn't. I'm no killer. It's a trap. Someone's trying to frame me.
What tangled webs we weave when we practice to deceive. So tangled, we catch ourselves in the process.
Mr. Wright!
Such a hasty conclusion. It's not like you, Christoph Gavin. What are you saying? Why not consider the other possibility? That there was another person in the room at the time of the murder. That thing that we've been saying since the entire last segment of the case? Right! Like Mr. Wright was saying before recess. A single card was swapped into the victim's hand after the murder. And the one who swapped the card didn't know 2 colors of cards were being used. A 4th person.
This theory again. Your 4th person doesn't exist.
Indeed. That's why I decided to bring this case to court. Here, where there's no escape and no chance for deception. The perfect place to catch the real criminal.
The real criminal?
And we're in luck. A clue to the real criminal's identity was kindly provided for us. And right at the beginning of the trial, no less.
What?
Apollo, perhaps you know what I'm talking about. Sorry? Remember what I said? The 4th person who swapped the cards made one critical error. He or she wasn't considering the color on the backs of the cards. Right. But how could such an obvious mistake occur? The cards used for the last game were red. Yet, there's one person here in our court who thought that those cards were blue. Yeah, I had that impression too, but why? Gavin, are you colorblind? Are you a colorblind murderer? You've been our friend for so many cases. Well, Apollo, think you can figure out who it was? It seems odd that you'd get red-blue colorblind. Usually it's red-green, but okay, whatever, let's roll with it.
It's not me, I swear!
Who's this fourth person?
Why do I always get put on the spot like this? Let's hear what the defense has to say. Who was it? Who thought the cards used in the final game were blue? It's Gavin. As I expected. Your eyes and ears are as sharp as your hair. I was right? Christoph Gavin, you were the fourth person that night. But of course, Mr. Gavin knows the color of the cards. How would he? As you can see, the photo of the crime scene is black and white. You can't tell which of the cards are blue, the ones on the floor or the table. But look! You can see the colors in this photo! Yes, but when he said the cards were blue, it was well before this evidence came to light. It is true that the defendant was engaged in a game of poker with the victim. Yet it was only that, a game, in the purest sense. A competition, Your Honor.
A competition?
Yes, a test of wits, a silent clash of passions. Only the cards, their backs wreathed in blue flame, know its final outcome. Well, Christoph? Mr. Gavin?
Mr. Gavin, is something the matter?
No, nothing. Excuse me, it was just so sudden. Right, you aren't seriously accusing me, are you? Oh, Christoph? You know, even I'd never take a joke this far.
This has gone beyond ridiculous, beyond dumb. This is insanity. The defendant accusing his own defense attorney of murder?
I assure you, I'm quite sane.
But what possible connection could Mr. Gavin have to the victim?
I wasn't aware that I had a connection to Mr. Smith either.
Yes, but Mr. Gavin and the victim have never even met.
Well, what if they have?
Huh?
There's a possibility, after all. They may have met that night before the game started.
What are you suggesting?
Is this the truth Mr. Wright was staying silent about? Well, only one thing to do. Mr. Wright, the defense would like to request that you testify to the court. The defense would like to request no such thing. Mr. Gavin? Testimonies must relate to the case. How could anything happening before that game of poker be related? Gavin, you're being a little fishy over here.
I'm not sure I follow, Mr. Gavin.
As I explained before, the defense believes that Miss O'Reilly...
Am I to assume you speak for Mr. Justice in this? He is the defense, not you. Mr. Justice, the matter of Mr. Wright's testimony is up to you.
Oh. Okay.
Does the court, in your opinion, need to hear Mr. Wright's testimony?
Yes. We gotta. If we've got testimony, we're gonna hear it. Always be pressing, always be listening to testimony. This was Mr. Wright's strategy. He was planning this all along. And I intend to see it through. The defense would like to request that Mr. Wright testify to the court. And to Justice, you would betray me, your teacher? I'm sorry, Mr. Gavin. This isn't about loyalty. This is about the truth.
Very well. The defendant, Mr. Wright, will take the stand, please.
Appetite before murder. That evening, Christoph and I had dinner. We sat at the table in this photograph. Shady Smith walked in 5 minutes after Christoph left. When the trap failed, Smith hit the waitress. The girl was knocked out cold, and Smith was uncontrollable. I left to call the police. When I returned, he was dead, blood streaming from a cut on his forehead. That's when I made another phone call to defense attorney Gavin.
Mr. Gavin, you were at the Borscht Bowl Club the night of the murder?
I dine with him rather frequently.
And he talked to the defendant on the phone directly after the murder?
quite against my will. I'd become involved in a murder. I thought I might be in need of a lawyer, so I called him. You were planning this all along, weren't you, Wright? Just because you wanted to drag me into your little murder trial. The only thing I want is the truth. As I did back then, and now. I thought my office was doing you a favor when we took on your defense. It appears that I was wrong.
Very well. The defense may cross-examine the witness.
Justice. Sir! He's lying, and you're going to expose him. Understood, sir. Mr. Gavin versus Mr. Wright. Oh, this can't end well. Why can't I have a normal trial? Grr. Okay. Alright. That evening, Christoph and I had dinner. We sat at the table in this photograph. Tell us about the dinner. What'd you have? You had dinner with Mr. Gavin? Yes, he dines with me at the Boat Club quite frequently. We were enjoying a usual dinner at our usual spot. As usual. Usual. I always eat at the table close to the piano.
I see. Where Mr. Smith was sitting.
So the plates and such on the table were from your dinner?
Indeed, the remnants of my meal with Christoph. We dined for 2 hours, then Christoph left. After that, Shady Smith walked in 5 minutes after Christoph left. But the table hadn't been cleared. That's a terrible waitress! 5 minutes! So the two of them could have passed in the restaurant during that time. That would have been a fateful encounter, to be sure.
No, Mr. Wright. What was it you said? Christoph, Gavin, and Shady Smith may have met?
I believe I did say that.
Here I was all nervous about this meeting, and now we hear they just passed in the hall.
That does seem a little weak as a pretense for murder.
Oh, it would be, if that was all that really happened. Come on, Mr. Wright. What are you hiding this time? When the trap failed, Smith hit the waitress. Oh, we need to go back and press that. About this failed trap. This is the same trap that Ms. ORLY mentioned. ORLY mentioned?
The plan was simple, elegant, really. You see, we set up a trap of sorts. I was to plant a card in Wright's pocket beforehand, and then deal 5 aces during one of their games. When their hands were revealed, Smith would call him out and search Wright. He would then pull out the planted card, and the trap would snap shut.
You swapped the cards!
Just like that, the legend would be dashed to pieces.
Yeah, a harmless prank, in essence. It was by a quirk of fate that I happened to discover it.
A quirk?
I happened to put my hand in my pocket and found a card. The card she planted! Yeah, I snuck a peek at it and found it was the 5 of hearts. I had a feeling something might happen, so I disposed of the card before the game.
Disposed? Where?
There was an empty bottle of grape juice I'd been drinking right beside me. I threw the card inside the bottle.
An empty bottle of grape juice?
The murder weapon? Yeah, I rolled it up and shoved it in. The colored glass makes it hard to see.
A battle of wits between the deceiver and the would-be deceived. That sounds like terrific drama.
A card inside the murder weapon. That's strange. Did the police miss it in their investigation? Maybe I'll take a look. Let's pop it open. We've got it, right?
Mr. Wright, the poker head of courtroom number 3, approves of this battle of wits. Please revise your testimony with this new information.
I discovered the trap during the game and disposed of the card in the bottle. Let's press that. Why in the bottle? I perceived my opponent's intent immediately. I'm used to entrapment, you see. I knew it was coming.
Ho ho! So you struck first. I like that. Preemptive strike. Hoocha!
I know every trick in the book. They don't work on me. At least when you get lucky and stick your hand in your pocket, they don't. The girl was knocked out cold, and Smith was uncontrollable. I left to call the police. Press. You made the call to the police from the first floor of the restaurant, correct? Exactly. Cell phones don't get a signal down in the hideout. Well, was anyone else on the first floor at the time? Not a soul. It was the middle of the night, after all. So there, in the darkened restaurant, I called the cops. After making the call, I returned to the hideout. It didn't seem right to leave the injured waitress alone. When I returned, he was dead, streaming from a cut on his forehead. This is where... like, I want to believe him. And when you returned, the victim was already... dead, yes. I'll admit, I was a little startled when I walked in.
A little?
He was bleeding from his forehead, after all. I guess I'd be startled too if I walked in on a scene like that. That's when I made another phone call to defense attorney Gavin. Could you explain why you called, Mr. Gavin? I'd obviously gotten involved in a rather sticky affair, and I figured Kristoff's law office would give me a friend rate for my defense fees. Ah, glad to hear you intend to pay. Oh, I'll pay in full, Kristoff. It was I who got you involved, after all. You may find the price of your defense quite high, my good friend. Quite high. Is this the truth that Mr. Wright was talking about? Justice, you know what you have to do. He's lying. Expose him. Now. Yes, sir. I have to think. What's Mr. Wright trying to tell me with his testimony? The truth has to be in there somewhere. Alright, let's look at the evidence that we have. Is it this? He's not really bleeding, right? I guess he's kind of bleeding down the back. Oh yeah, let's check this out. The bottle's completely empty. That seems important. So, if it's the bottle, let's present the bottle, I guess. Because the card's not in there. Mr. Wright, if I may? Yes? I've examined the bottle, and I don't see any card in here. No? It should be a bottle. Put a card in the bottle.
What, Mr. Wright? Surely... ... isn't all you have to say for yourself?
I can't say that I know what happened to the card. I did put it in that bottle, however. Huh? Perhaps a fifth person came and took it out? Oh, and a sixth person could have helped.
Mr. Gavin, Mr. Wright is your client.
My apologies, Your Honor.
I won't have you disparaging our investigation either. We looked inside that bottle. There was nothing.
So what's going on? Is Mr. Wright hoodwinking us again? Or did the card just disappear?
In any case, please continue the cross-examination. I'm afraid decisive contradictions call for decisive evidence.
Oh. Push him harder, Justice. Break him. It's just you and the witness in the ring. Go for the KO. Why do I get the feeling that we're not on our client's side anymore?